Sometimes the person you think is broken is the one who's silently unshakable, and the reason she seems distant isn't weakness, it's strength you never saw coming. Stay with me, because what you're about to realize will change the way you see every woman in your life. When you think about relationships, most people assume that the heart is the most delicate part of a person, the fragile center where all pain collects. But with women, it is often not the heart that bears the deepest weight. It is the ego, the sense of self, the quiet understanding of her own value that gets wounded in ways that are invisible but powerful. When someone dismisses her thoughts, mocks her choices, or undermines her presence, the injury isn't just emotional, it is existential. It challenges how she perceives herself, her confidence, and even the boundaries she has painstakingly built over time. The interesting part is that hurting her ego does not produce the reaction most people expect. There is rarely a public breakdown or dramatic display. Instead, there is a subtle shift, a recalibration of her energy. She doesn't collapse into despair. She doesn't run to seek sympathy. She pauses. She thinks. She observes. She analyzes every word, every glance, every intention. And in that quiet reflection, something remarkable begins to happen. Her ego, when injured, forces her to confront the imbalance that has been created. She evaluates the relationship, the interaction, and ultimately herself. This is not an act of arrogance, it is an act of self-preservation. It is her mind telling her that she deserves more, that she cannot be treated as less than what she knows she is worth. When the ego is hurt, it demands acknowledgement, respect, and understanding. And because she is inherently strong, she will not settle for anything less than what aligns with her dignity. What often surprises the people around her is the transformation that comes from this subtle shift. A woman who has had her ego wounded does not simply fade away. She rises with an intensity that is quiet but undeniable. Her confidence becomes sharper, her decisions more decisive, and her boundaries more defined. She becomes someone who is not only harder to hurt in the future, but also someone who commands respect, simply through the way she carries herself, the way she speaks, and the way she prioritizes her own values over anyone else's opinions. This process is not immediate, and it is not always visible. It is internal, slow burning, and deeply transformative. The very thing that was intended as a slight or a challenge often becomes the catalyst for her growth. While her heart may remain untouched in its purest form, her ego, the structure of her identity, has been awakened. She becomes more aware of her needs, more assertive in expressing them, and more determined to align her life with her own truth, rather than bending to accommodate someone else's ego. Hurt her ego, and you are not destroying her. You are prompting a version of her that is stronger, sharper, and far more self-assured than before. You are witnessing a force that quietly evolves from the shadows of disrespect into a presence that is impossible to ignore. The paradox is that what was meant to weaken her only strengthens her, and her rise is not loud or vengeful, but inevitable, natural, and profoundly inspiring. True strength is often invisible to the casual observer. It does not announce itself with noise or spectacle, and it does not rely on dramatic gestures to prove its existence. When a woman experiences hurt, whether through betrayal, disrespect, or even subtle dismissals, her immediate reaction is not always outward. She doesn't rush to voice her pain or demand recognition. Instead, she retreats into herself. This retreat is not weakness. It is a sanctuary, a space where she can process what has happened, examine her feelings, and understand the true impact of the events around her. In these quiet moments, her mind works tirelessly, untangling emotions, questioning intentions, and reevaluating boundaries. While others may interpret silence as submission or indifference, it is, in fact, the purest form of resilience. She is gathering her strength, observing without bias, and preparing herself to respond not impulsively, but thoughtfully, with the clarity that comes from reflection. This kind of silent strength is profoundly intimidating to those who misunderstand it. It is often mistaken for passivity, but what is happening underneath the surface is far more powerful than any immediate outburst could convey. In her quiet, she is learning to discern between what deserves a reaction and what is better left behind. She is strengthening her ability to maintain composure in the face of provocation, cultivating patience, and building emotional endurance. Unlike those who react in anger, who may temporarily assert dominance but later regret their words, her calm allows her to maintain control, not over others, but over herself. This self-mastery is the hallmark of resilience. It is the unshakable knowledge that no external force can determine her value or dictate her happiness. Moreover, silent strength is a statement in itself. The calmness she maintains is not emptiness, it is deliberate. Every composed smile, every measured response, every moment she holds her peace is a demonstration of her internal power. She is showing the world, and perhaps unknowingly herself, that her sense of self is not easily swayed by criticism, insult, or disappointment. People who underestimate her because they do not see the storm inside are often the first to be surprised when she emerges from that quiet space transformed. Her resilience manifests in decisions that honor her values, in boundaries that are unbreakable, and in confidence that radiates without needing validation. What makes this strength extraordinary is its sustainability. Loud reactions may fade, resentment may linger, and dramatic gestures may quickly lose meaning, but quiet reflection builds enduring power. It equips her with clarity of thought, a deeper understanding of her emotions, and the wisdom to navigate future challenges with grace and effectiveness. Those who witness it often fail to comprehend its magnitude until they see the results. A life redirected with purpose, relationships redefined with clarity, and a self-respect that is absolute. Silent strength is not a temporary shield. It is the foundation of an unshakable identity, a force that grows stronger the longer it is nurtured, and a resilience that ensures she can face the world with unwavering confidence. When a woman holds on, it is rarely because she lacks strength. It is rarely because she is dependent or fragile. Holding on is often misunderstood by the world, by those around her, and sometimes even by herself. People see her persistence and assume she is clinging out of fear or desperation, but in reality, it comes from a place far deeper, self-worth. She holds on because she recognizes the value in what she has, the love she has given, and the trust she has invested. She understands that her presence, her effort, and her integrity are not trivial matters to be casually dismissed. When she chooses to stay, it is a conscious choice, not a passive reaction. It is her way of testing boundaries, of assessing whether the people and situations around her are worthy of her time and energy. Holding on is her quiet challenge to the universe, a statement that she will not give herself lightly and she will not be taken for granted. This form of resilience is often invisible because it does not manifest in loud confrontation or impulsive decisions. She does not make threats or ultimatums. She does not announce her patience to gain sympathy or attention. Instead, she invests herself in silence, in observation, and in careful deliberation. Every interaction, every moment, and every conversation becomes a point of reflection, recognition. She measures her actions not against fear or need, but against respect for herself and the recognition of her own boundaries. This is why she can hold on longer than expected. It is not about attachment or weakness, but about discernment and understanding her worth. She is waiting not for an apology alone, but for acknowledgement, for reciprocity, for alignment with her standards. Holding on in this sense becomes a test, not of loyalty or endurance alone, but of mutual respect and recognition. Holding on is also a form of quiet empowerment. While the world may assume that letting go quickly is a sign of strength, she knows that resilience is measured not by the speed of departure, but by the courage to stay when it is difficult. She evaluates her circumstances with clarity, recognizing where compromise is reasonable and where it is not. She understands that walking away too soon may mean losing an opportunity for growth, connection, or resolution. Yet holding on is never about sacrifice alone. It is about discerning value and aligning herself with what she deserves. In this process, she becomes more attuned to her emotions, more confident in her decisions, and more intentional in the energy she invests. What often surprises others is the balance she maintains while holding on. She does not allow attachment to override her self-respect. She does not beg, plead, or diminish herself to be seen or loved. Instead, she remains dignified, composed, and unwavering. Her patience is strategic, her strength subtle, and her presence commanding. She demonstrates that holding on is not a weakness. It is a sign of profound inner power. It is a reflection of self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and the courage to assert her worth even when circumstances are challenging. Her decision to hold on, therefore, is not an act of desperation. It is an act of wisdom. It is a statement of identity, a declaration that she understands her value, and a quiet affirmation that she will not settle for less than she deserves. While the world may misinterpret her persistence as weakness, it is, in truth, a testament to her resilience, her dignity, and her unwavering belief in herself. Respect is not something she asks for lightly, and it is certainly not something she accepts casually. For a woman, respect is the foundation of her identity, the invisible thread that holds together her confidence, her self-worth, and her sense of dignity. When respect is given, she flourishes. Her presence feels effortless. Her words carry weight, and her energy becomes magnetic. But when respect is broken, when her boundaries are ignored, when her voice is silenced or belittled, it cuts deeper than most realize. This is not an injury of the heart. It is an awakening of the self. It challenges her perception of who she is and how she allows others to treat her, and it sparks a response that is as quiet as it is unstoppable. The breaking of respect is often the turning point, when she shifts from passive tolerance to deliberate empowerment. The power of respect lies in its irreplaceable value. While love, attention, and affection may ebb and flow, respect is non-negotiable. Without it, a relationship, whether personal, professional, or social, cannot thrive. She understands this deeply. She knows that tolerating disrespect for the sake of comfort, familiarity, or fear of confrontation diminishes her. And so, when respect is broken, she does not merely endure it silently. Instead, she internalizes the experience, analyzes it, and emerges stronger and more self-aware. This awakening is subtle but profound. It is not about revenge or public confrontation. It is about recalibrating her life in alignment with her self-worth. She learns to recognize patterns of disrespect, to set boundaries that are unbreakable, and to ensure that her energy is only invested where it is valued and honored. Respect, once violated, becomes a mirror reflecting the strength she never knew she needed to fully embrace. She discovers her voice in ways she had perhaps restrained before. She learns to assert herself not out of anger, but out of clarity. She understands that being diminished or overlooked does not define her value, only her response to it does. The breaking of respect forces her to confront uncomfortable truths, to question dynamics that she may have ignored, and to restructure relationships that no longer serve her growth. It is a painful process, yes, but it is also transformative. Through this experience, she cultivates resilience that cannot be shaken, confidence that cannot be undermined, and self-respect that cannot be taken lightly. What makes this power extraordinary is that it is enduring. Whereas other forms of growth may rely on external validation or temporary success, the inner strength awakened by the violation of respect is permanent. She carries it forward into every interaction, every decision, and every boundary she establishes. She becomes someone whose presence commands recognition, not because she demands it, but because she refuses to compromise her dignity. The world may not always understand this transformation, but those who witness it cannot deny its impact. Respect, once broken, ignites an evolution that is as quiet as it is undeniable. It is this awakening of inner strength that defines her journey. Once she has experienced the consequences of lost respect, she becomes vigilant, self-assured, and unyielding. She learns the delicate balance between patience and assertion, between empathy and protection of self. And as she moves forward, she carries with her a force that is magnetic, resilient, and completely untouchable. A force born from the simple yet irreplaceable truth that respect is non-negotiable. Pain is not an enemy. It is a teacher, often disguised in moments we wish we could avoid. For a woman, emotional challenges are rarely just setbacks. They are opportunities for transformation, invitations to step into a stronger version of herself. When life hurts her, it is not just her heart that feels it. It is her entire sense of self that is tested. And yet it is precisely through these trials that she discovers the depth of her resilience. Each disappointment, betrayal, or moment of misunderstanding acts as a mirror, showing her what she can endure, what she deserves, and what she will no longer accept. Pain forces her to confront truths she may have been avoiding, to recognize patterns that no longer serve her, and to align her actions with her inner strength rather than external expectation. Through pain, she does not merely survive, she evolves. Emotional challenges strip away the illusions and comforts that may have made her feel safe. But in that stripping, they reveal an unshakable core. She learns that happiness is not dependent on others' approval, that validation is something she generates from within, and that strength is built not by avoiding struggle, but by facing it head on. Pain teaches her patience, empathy, and the quiet power of endurance. She learns to read situations clearly, to differentiate between people who lift her up and those who pull her down, and to invest her energy wisely. In this process, she develops a kind of wisdom that cannot be taught, a clarity that comes from experiencing life in all its rawness, and a confidence that is forged in fire. Each hurtful encounter becomes a lesson, each disappointment a stepping stone, and each challenge a reminder of her capacity to rise above. What makes growth through pain extraordinary is its subtlety. While suffering is often visible and dramatic, the transformation it produces is quiet, deliberate, and profound. She may not announce her progress or seek recognition for her resilience, but those who observe closely will notice a change, a poise that is steadier, a voice that carries more conviction, a presence that commands respect without demanding it. The pain has refined her, much like pressure refines a diamond, making her brilliance impossible to ignore. It strengthens her emotional boundaries, sharpens her self-awareness, and deepens her capacity for love, not dependency, but love rooted in respect, authenticity, and mutual recognition. Through these experiences, she also learns the importance of choice. Pain teaches her that she cannot control the actions of others, but she can control how she responds. She can choose self-respect over resentment, growth over stagnation, and clarity over confusion. Each challenge becomes a crucible, testing her patience, fortitude, and understanding of her own value. And as she emerges from each struggle, she becomes increasingly unshakable, no longer easily swayed by doubt, criticism, or external pressures. The most remarkable thing about this growth is that it is cumulative. Every challenge, every moment of heartbreak or disappointment adds layers to her resilience. She becomes not only confident in who she is, but also in the choices she makes, in the standards she sets, and in the power she wields over her own life. Pain, once feared, transforms into a tool for empowerment, shaping her into a woman whose strength is profound, whose presence is undeniable, and whose confidence radiates naturally from the wisdom she has earned. When she finally decides to move forward, it is not a hasty decision fueled by impulse or convenience. It is the result of a long, often silent journey through reflection, patience, and self-discovery. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every time she held back her voice or swallowed her pride has led her to this point. And in that moment, she does not simply continue. She transforms into a force that is deliberate, intentional, and impossible to ignore. Her steps are measured. Her decisions are guided by clarity, and her energy radiates an authenticity that demands acknowledgement. This is not a woman who moves forward blindly or out of mere necessity. This is a woman who moves forward with a complete understanding of her own value, her strengths, and the life she is determined to build for herself. The power she embodies comes from the accumulation of all she has endured. Every challenge she has faced, every slight to her ego, every breach of respect, and every heartbreak has been distilled into an unshakable determination. She does not allow past pain to define her limitations. Instead, she uses it as fuel to propel herself higher. Her progress is not loud or flashy. It does not need validation from anyone, but it is relentless. She moves with a confidence that cannot be feigned, a purpose that cannot be derailed, and a self-respect that serves as the foundation for every decision she makes. Those who observe her may not immediately understand the depth of her journey, but they cannot deny the gravity of her presence. She has become a living example of what happens when resilience, wisdom, and self-awareness converge into action. What is remarkable about her movement forward is that it is free of attachment to outcomes or approval from others. She does not seek to prove anyone wrong or to demand recognition. She does not carry resentment or cling to the past. She has learned that her power lies in her ability to choose herself above all else. This freedom gives her an unstoppable momentum. She navigates relationships, opportunities, and challenges with clarity, ensuring that her energy is invested in people and situations that honor her worth. Her choices reflect a deep respect for herself, a refusal to compromise her standards, and an unwavering belief that she deserves alignment, authenticity, and growth in every aspect of her life. Moving forward with such determination also inspires those around her, often without her intention. Her confidence, composure, and self-possession create a ripple effect, showing others the strength that comes from integrity, patience, and self-respect. She becomes a silent mentor through her actions alone, demonstrating that true power is not in domination or control, but in mastery over oneself. Her unstoppable force is rooted in understanding, not anger, in patience, not impulsivity, in dignity, not defiance. It is a power that commands attention, not through assertion, but through undeniable presence. And so when she finally takes that step forward, she is no longer the same person who once struggled, hesitated, or doubted. She carries with her every lesson learned, every boundary established, and every ounce of strength she has cultivated along the way. She is unstoppable because she is aligned, intentional, and wholly aware of her worth. She is a living testament to resilience, a force that moves with purpose, and a woman whose determination and self-respect leave an impact that is both profound and enduring.